say that this is a Oh, this is working, and this is a really relevant topic. It's about assistive technology, so it applies to people who are students and in the workplace as well. So I'll hand over to you now, Andrew.
Okay, so whenever we're ready, we'll put the first slide on. So just to make everyone aware, obviously I am an assistive technology trainer and a study skills tutor, and I have also begun doing some autism mentoring as well, to support our autistic students, and it's really good. So obviously tonight, I'm going to be talking about, for the Advocate program, on how assistive technology can help with daily living. I am a fellow of the Higher Education Academy because I have a PGC in higher education, and also I'm an associate of the Dyslexia Guild for further and higher education, so I'm on the registered list. Yeah, so if we just move on to slide number 2. So what is the purpose of the talk? So the talk's purpose is to highlight the range of assistive technology that supports neurodivergent people within both education and within the workplace. So when I say within education, when I first accessed assistive technology 20 years ago, it was predominantly available only for people within the adult education sector. Schools now actually have a higher market than the higher education sector. And also through access to work, which I'll come on to in a moment, some of the tools that a neurodivergent person can access through DSA can actually be replicated in the workplace. So there are a range of tools that are accessible. So we're going to look through 3 of them from this list and more. So read and write. I have to say, we have to now call the program Read and Write because Text Help, as it was known, is the name of the company. So Text Help Group own ClaroRead, Equatio, which is the maths program, Read and Write, Global Tasks, and Global Autocorrect. And so it used to be called Text Help Read and Write Gold, but it's now called Read and Write. So I have to get used to saying the new name. So it's more so for me as well. So Boost is an app that's designed to help students in terms of managing their calendars, day-to-day activities as well. And also MindView is one of the market-leading mind mapping applications. So if we can go on to slide number 3. So when I talk about neurodiversity, I am talking collectively here about dyslexia, dyspraxia, Asperger's syndrome, autism, ADHD, and obviously more and more commonplace now, there's the case where students got more than one disability. So in terms of what is assistive technology, so the phrase assistive technology is often used to describe products or systems that support and assist individuals with disabilities, restricted mobility, or other impairments to perform functions that might otherwise be impossible. And I access this through the government. So in day-to-day terms, actually, someone could say their iPhone, I have a 13, I know there's going to be a 15 out soon, which I might upgrade to. That has a lot of tools on there that is built in as well. So you've got your Brain in Hand app, which I've not gone through, although it's part of my research at the moment. There are, more and more, even supermarkets now have loyalty apps, which save time and paper, and you do get incentives. So that could actually be an example of a modern day assistive technology. Yeah, so number 4 is kind of from my day job perspective. So what is DSA? So we just move on to that one, please. So the Disabled Students Allowance, or DSA, as it's more commonly known, is a grant to help eligible students with any extra additional costs that you may have as a direct result of your disability, long-term health condition, mental health condition, or specific learning difficulties such as dyslexia. Just to add, so DSA itself has expanded. So now courses like the higher national certificate, so H&C, and the higher education national diploma can actually access DSA funding. So if someone is at a college, so one of my students has been with me for 2 years with quite significant autism related issues, I'm not going to go into detail, he's had support with me from training and study skills for the last 2 years. So if someone has got a disability, they can get support on a lower level course to ease them in. And I'm very much for foundation degree programs, because it enables a disabled person to then participate in the learning, and they can go on to do an undergraduate degree or a master's as well. That quote is from TextHelp Group, and they are a fantastic company. A supplier of tools. Yeah, so we're going to number 5. If I'm going too quick, just let me know. I'm aware I talk quickly sometimes, but yeah. So the next one. So we're going to now look at another funding mechanism. So in terms of daily living, if someone is neurodivergent, they may well want to access a scheme called Access to Work. So Access to Work can help you get or stay in work if you have a physical or mental health condition or disability. The support you get will depend on your needs. Through an Access to Work grant, you can apply to pay for practical support with your work. So that can be a coach, so similar to study skills or mentoring at university. You can have support with managing your mental health at work. So that can be in terms of having a mental health advocate within the team. And also money to pay for communication support at job interviews. So it is worth noting that the waiting list for Access to Work has gone down. So anyone previously worried? So Robert Harfin is one of the MPs in my local area in Harlow, and he's got the waiting list down through lobbying the government in Westminster, where obviously achievability will be next week, down to 10 weeks, which is nothing really. When you think we've already had the 10 weeks in this year already, it is worth applying. And you don't necessarily have to be working full time to get Access to Work. So I would very much encourage it. As long as you've got proof of a diagnostic, you would normally be eligible. That's from experience of liaising with another disability charity. Yeah, if we move on to the next slide. So Boost Education app is an app that is relatively new. So they actually launched during the COVID pandemic. And so one of the reasons why I like Boost is the people that designed it are all ex-teachers and assessors, and they have direct experience of working with students with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and also mental health issues as well. And so it facilitates students' independence. And it is sometimes used by college students. So again, what I've mentioned earlier about H&C and H&D, those students could get Boost if they want. And you know, one of the things I put on here is it can integrate your timetable into the calendar. And what's really useful, so for students working with me as you know, as one of my mentees or one of my study school students, they can get this, give me access, and I can put some tasks in for them to do in between sessions, and it is remarkably cheap. It's only £150 for 5 years. So when we look at the cost of trying to provide support for students, it is a really good deal because they can access it on any platform, and they can get support for, you know, £30 a year for a 5-year course is really good. If we click on the link, well, you should be able to go into a demo. I'm hoping. If it's not, if it's not working, I'll go into my account at the end. Or if anyone would like a demo of the software, what I can do is I can share my screen at the end, because I've got confidential passwords saved on here. But so basically, you can get an overview. So the students' kind of timetable would have a list of different things plotted on. So say, for example, if they were studying education, so they're in the yellow slide, they may have their, you know, lecture between 9 and 10. And that green bit there can be reading or going to the library to do some research. And where they've got a gap, we could say work on that assignment. And there's all the color coding, and there's a lot of well-being resources in there. So you can actually see in the app, there are tools that break things down in terms of managing your time, looking at resilience. And sometimes people feel overwhelmed. What do you mean I've got to write an essay? I've not done an essay before. And actually you can use this at any day and time So, you know, obviously people like myself, we work specific hours, so we weren't necessarily available. But if a student wants to log in at night or whenever, they just need to you know to log in. And it's all very well laid out, very disability friendly. They've also got a relationship with Shout, and the number I've written down from the meeting with them earlier, 85258, and they're a charity that will support anyone in a mental health crisis. You just dial the number, and it is, again, they're looking at things that are person centered. So in the workplace, if someone's struggling, you know, they may well have started to use this, and they can look at an alternative provision for the workplace as well. And obviously, you know, have calendars and so on. Yeah, if we go on to the next slide. What I'll do is I will answer questions at the end, to save me losing my thread. So the next one, so why use mind mapping? So on the screen there, you'll see a picture of MindView. So MindView is one of the leading mind mapping applications. It was originally designed 10 years ago for project management. And so you'll get people who are very much visual thinkers, which, you know, a lot of dyslexics are visual thinkers, and a lot of people on the autistic spectrum also like this software. So it helps to break ideas down into manageable chunks. With my own MA thesis at the moment, I've actually looked at how Lloyds Bank have given this particular autistic employee access to the software, and he uses it within his day-to-day role. And he uses it as a student by providing that he's able to break down his workload, you know, more efficiently. He's now analyzing information in a much easier, autism-friendly way, and he's done really, really well. It's a five-page case study that I have looked at. And, you know, what's also good, there are 5,000 images, and that enables that creativity. You can change the color of the font, the background. And you can actually, with this one, MindView is actually offered on a free trial basis. So if anyone's not familiar with MindView, you can just simply go on to matchware.com and then under products, and then you can select. So it's available for Windows, for the Mac, and it's also cloud-based. And what's also good is since September last year, there's actually the MindView Assist app. So you can simply click on the button, and then here we are. So it's simple as that. You just press the button and you can capture information. And it is really good, and it is available for all new users. And yeah, so and they're based in Richmond in London. So yeah, if we move on to the next slide. So the next one here. So hands up, just out of curiosity, how many of you have heard of Audio Note Taker? Okay, cool. So Sonosent Audio Note Taker was launched literally the week before I studied my PG Cert in dyslexia back in February 2009 at London Met. And the program Audio Note Taker is on its way out. Glean is the replacement. And what I love about Glean is it's completely cloud-based. So now, you know, you literally log on to the website, so glean.co, that you can download the app. And it doesn't matter where you are. So I can be sitting in my flat using, you know, my Glean account on my Windows laptop. If I need to go and help my mum with something, I can go over there and I can log on her Mac. As long as I've got my Assistive IT Solutions email address with me, I can log in. It also works, you know, on iPad, also on the iPhone as well, and also on an Android phone. You know, so you can see, if we just look at the picture, it's very intuitive. And so you've got your slides here. So if you're going to a lecture for a university student, you know, you can put the slides in there. This bit here, you know, in the middle is some keywords notes, and also on the right-hand side is the audio. So, I mean, what I like for this is the update that happened literally like just over the summer, is you can now convert all of the notes in the third column, which are audio, into text by simply highlighting the text and press the text button, and you've got a full transcript, and that will literally record word for word. So if you imagine you're a student perhaps who's autistic, dyslexic and dyspraxic, and they really struggle with note taking, and they want a word for word translation of exactly what the lecturer has said, they've got it. And this, again, it is, a really good deal. On average, it's about 10 years license. So, and again, DSA will provide it. Access to work is a possibility. So that's coming up in the summer. You only need an internet, but saying that, if you wanted to take notes and you didn't want the internet, it can actually work if you were recording yourself at home, but it won't be able to do certain features in terms of uploading onto one device. So with my account, I use this laptop and it connects onto my iPad. But yeah, it is, really, really good. The education team are really, really good. It says up here 2 people are waiting to enter the room.
Okay, I'm admitting them.
Yeah, so in terms of Glean, so that's the new name. So they were, years ago, it used to be Sonosen Audio Note Taker, and now it's Glean. That's the new name. An Audio Note Taker is going. It will die on in end of academic year 2025. No new students are being allowed Audio Note Taker anymore. Glean is the future. No, I think it's fantastic. And it's really good for people who struggle and who have multiple platforms. Before, an Audio Note Taker ever had to be saved on the hard drive. Cloud-based solutions is where things are going. And, my day job, we're moving on to an online cloud-based invoicing solution very, very soon, thank God. And again, it will save time, so you don't have to be in the same place. Yeah.
Andrew, there's one comment in the chat just saying to understand Glean. I just wondered, Dee, do we need to just clarify that Glean is really helpful for note taking?
Okay, so sorry, I didn't quite understand, because there's the 3 things on the screen. You said there's the slides, there's the notes, there's the audio, and then it transcribes or something. Sorry, I didn't quite understand all that.
Andrew, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I got disconnected. It did slightly rain. Yeah, so in terms of how it works, so it's a complete note-taking solution. So the left-hand side, so if you were a university student, you would have your PowerPoint slides on the left-hand side. In the middle would be keyword notes. So this is just like some handwritten notes that I scribbled down when I'm with my students. So when I do the invoice at the end of the month, I know roughly what to put on there. And then in terms of on the right-hand side, that would be the recording. So that would be all of the audio on there. And then you press the text button, and then it would convert all of the audio into text in the matter of 2 to 3 minutes. Does that make sense? Do you want me to log into my Glean account to show you? I can if you want.
I don't mind if you do that at the end. That would be great. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, let's go on to slide number 9. So I think, yeah, so proofreading challenges. So again, I can show you because I've got account. So the most commonly recommended, so you've got the read and write, which is the first one, which is available for education. And also there's a new version of read and write called Read and Write for Work. So this is from the Access to Work provision, and it is slightly different. But if you are dyslexic and you're used to having a screen reader through DSA, you can now get it through Access to Work. So it's worth noting. And also with Claro, this one, there will be a major update coming for Clara soon. And also global autocorrect, which is a big seller for dyslexic DSA students, is about to have a complete revamp within the next few weeks. Their sales and marketing managers were telling me yesterday at a meeting. So yeah, it's always worth kind of noting. And then I think, yeah, I will go in and yeah, I'll share my screen in a minute, and then we can click at the links. And if we move on to number 10, so this, you know, most people, to be honest, will be familiar with Grammarly. So this can help in terms of being able to check spelling, punctuation, and grammar. It works in the background. Obviously, there is a premium edition now, which is really, really good because it has more advanced vocabulary. Again, it's very discreet and it has more updates, and it can work on either Windows or a Mac platform. Would you like me to log into Glean, and then we'll go on to the freebies afterwards?
Shall I stop? I've stopped the share now, Andrew.
Okay, I'm just going to turn my camera off while I go in to locate my Glean details. 2 secs.
Okay, I think we're interested in Boost and Glean.
Okay, let me go into Glean first. Okay, I think because it's on the app, it may, yeah, I just need to put in my email address. Bear with me 1 sec. Okay, it's thinking about it. Oh, okay, I've put in too many zeros.
In the meantime, I'll ask, has anyone used Glean? I was initially recommended Glean through Access to Work, but then when I went to my employer, they hadn't heard of it, so they've switched it out for something else. But it doesn't sound as if anyone on the call has used it, so this is really useful, Andrew.
Yeah, so if I just keep my camera off, so here, so where it's got add event title, so I'm just going to call this WFDA, and then obviously the 20th of April, because I like to put a date on everything. So in here, if we click import slides, I don't show me my CV. Sorry, I'm trying to think where I've put everything. I've moved everything. So, damn, I'm thinking on the spot. Actually, you know what? I'll just show you this autism journal because it will work now. So I've literally in here shared a journal from LSB where I'm doing my research. So you've got the slides on there. I'm just going to move everybody over there so I can see what I'm doing. And then if I just start talking, record. Okay, is it recording now? Okay. Allow. Okay, I'm just going to use the standard microphone one. Okay, so now on my screen, you should see that I'm recording, and in the mid at the far end column, there should be some audio. Can you see anything? So these gray lines are actually the audio that I'm saying. It's recording exactly what I'm saying as I speak. So now I'm just going to press the stop.
Yeah, we can see it. I can see it anyway.
Yeah, and now so in here in the middle, I'm just going to say test WFDA. These are just the key words. So if you're in a lecture, you would be writing down just keyword notes. And now if I press this convert to text, so it will do the blue circle thing, which you'll be familiar with on the Mac, or And this is it works exactly the same. So don't worry if you've got Windows at home and Mac at work or vice versa. So in a matter of a few minutes time, all the audio will be converted. So it should kind of come up. Inevitably, because I'm doing this live, it will take longer. But now, so all you have to do, very simple, press the text.
Oh, very good.
So, I think, what my students like is the fact that they've got a solution that's all in one, and no one knows that you're using this app. It's literally kind of stuck next to my PowerPoint. So it's not drawing your attention. In the old days, like when I was an undergraduate 20 years ago, having that mini disc recorder, why has he got this out on the table? It's very discreet. So I'll stop sharing that, and then
That was great. Sorry, excuse me, Andrew. That was great. But so where are the students how are they getting I know this isn't slightly off the point, but where are they getting the slides from? Are they slides
normally they would get the slides on Moodle, on Canvas, on their virtual learning environment.
Okay.
So Blackboard, anything like that. Ideally, they would have them before the lecture. If they don't, they can literally upload it afterwards. Right. If that makes sense. But in the lecture, the main thing is to capture the notes in the far column and the middle one. So that's kind of how they would do it. And similarly, in the workplace, if you don't have all the notes, you would just record what's been going on Glean, and then you would upload the agenda. So like when I was the director for ADSHI, we would have like 5 pages minimum of notes on A4 when we were deciding what's going to happen with the dyslexia body and so on. And then, you could upload it on there. It's quite universal, really.
So Andrew, to clarify, like this meeting's going on, you're presenting to us. Could you have Glean on the side to write your notes and listen and record?
Yeah. If I wanted to, I could even have it on right now.
Or we could to write ourselves little notes or something. So that's how you could use it with your tutor, would be presenting like Andrew is, and then you could have it running on the side to record the audio.
It's just anywhere. You could take notes kind of wherever. And it's kind of what's also useful. It's like when we have like team training events now going forward, because I normally end up doing staff training, I will have Glean on and I can record it. And it's way superior compared to Skype recording or so it's just, and then, we need to embrace change. It's funny, as an Aspie, I'm saying that, but anyway, my point is, we have to do it.
I mean, it's great for listening to a lecture and then paraphrasing. If a student's doing an essay based on some of the in the lecture, they can just cut and paste some text out and paraphrase it.
They could, if it's exactly what the lecture has said, has been recorded, but the main thing is for recording. So the mind view is where they would capture their ideas, and then if there is a text in there, and then you want to paraphrase that in the essay, obviously you can export onto mind view. Let me just see if I can log into that Boost app, because I have got my account. Bear with me one sec, because that is linked to my work email address, because they gave me a freebie as a trainer for a year, which was very generous. So now I've got to go in, sign in. Oh, we're getting there. Okay, I'm just waiting for the box for my email address. Press the sign in button. And I do know the password for this one because I was only in it earlier. So if I now
There's access to work quite up on technology, Jennifer.
I think it's brilliant. So you also get coaching. So with access to work, you get usual coaching, sort of well-being coaching, but you also get technology coaching. So it is quite overwhelming. They give you all this stuff and you don't know how to use it, but you get a personal coach who will talk you through it and help you take it slowly. And I love MindView. I think it's excellent.
Well, Rina,
great. That's good. So in here, so we've got the calendar, and then under, is this, it's got stuck. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, if we click on your calendar, so in here, this was from the demo. So obviously, you know, wherever university you're at, you know, Reading, Westminster, wherever, you can import the actual timetable from there. And then basically you can then get an event added in for you, and you literally kind of have it on there. Is there any way I can move this Zoom bar up? Good. Right. Yep. And then if I just move everyone to one side, if I click on boost your day, you'll now see, you know, that there's free time. If we click done, and then back, oh, and now it's oh, okay, it wasn't meant to do that. Okay, yeah, so I was going to try, if I move the Zoom link, and then if I scroll down, why? Okay, I've never had this fail before. Okay, so on the resources bank, if I stop sharing and then
back in, yeah, stop and go back in again. It might work.
I know what it is because normally I do it just as normally me and one other person, and if I just go and do it manually and then, oh yeah, here we go, that's perfect. Right, so if I now press the share, and then this is really useful. So what college and university students like is you should now see all of these notes that have been built in. So obviously I only work certain hours of the day, and they can get some help in here. So if you scroll down to this one here, this is exactly what we were saying before we came on about someone feeling overwhelmed. So an autistic student may be feeling, oh my God, what have I got to do? I don't know what I'm doing. If you click on that, you need to accept that there is going to be some challenges. And then it goes down. Okay, let me just stop sharing, and then this, I have to say, this app does do a lot better when you're only one-on-one. I don't know why, because they were telling me about college licenses earlier. Okay, I'm going to share one of the things that a tutor might like to share with their students. So they're priority tasks, due dates, so assignment deadlines. So if we add a task, so if we've got an assignment, I don't know, art discussion, notes art, and then set a due date. So we just literally fill this all in. And then we've got our deadline in there. And then that will, if we go back, you will see, you know, on your calendar. So if I move that and then go back, and then it's, you know, it will be in onto the system. In terms of, if you wanted me to share MindView, I will be able to do that. It's not cloud-based, so there shouldn't be any problems with that at all, because you know they're used for multiple people. It's good everyone's come. It's just that these apps haven't been tested with many people at the moment. So if I just go in to my MindView, I'll show you one that I did with a student the other day. So this won't take too long. Oh, it's locking me out. Okay, that's a bit daft. Press that, and then
can I ask if anyone else has used MindView? I think the most surprising thing for me was how quickly you can get ideas down when it's not like Word and it's all in order. With MindView, you can really quickly put different ideas on the page, as Andrea will show you now.
Linda's got a hand up. Did you want to say something, Linda?
far away, yes.
We can't hear you, Linda. You need to click on your microphone.
Hi, sorry about that. Yes, I was going to say that I was at university 2019, 2020, and so I was using very similar software to this. I think the new software that's coming through at the moment seems to be much better adapted to meet people's needs. I think one of the comments that was made about things being slightly overwhelming when it comes at you 100 miles an hour, and you're not particularly techie, you can feel a bit, that's too much to cope with. Certainly that's how I felt. I used MindView a lot to help me organize my thinking, because I'm a bit of a plate spinner, so I have lots and lots of ideas and I find it very difficult to prioritize them. Yeah, this is quite interesting. So, but there were quite a lot of technology that would capture your ideas and then organize them into beginnings of paragraphs, if that makes sense. And I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, so with MindView, once you've got your mind map, you can export this onto Word, and then these will become headings. So that will be 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. I think one of the things I also found was so harking back to your colleague's comment, was that employers really struggle with understanding how to utilize this technology within the workplace, and I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that was my experience. One of the issues is because technology gleans information, takes information out of the system to use it to create documents, etc. There's often an antivirus software that interrupts it and prevents it from working. Certainly that happened with Dragon, and you're not mentioning Dragon, so I don't know where that is now.
Yeah, there can be a delay at work because of legal, data protection and technology and virus, and you have to be really strong sometimes to say, but this is also the law that we can have this stuff. So you have to really advocate for yourself sometimes, and then I think people have said it gets overwhelming because you're not a technology expert, and yet you're trying to ask for this thing that you don't really understand.
But Dragon's got a major competitor now called TalkType that's on both Windows and Mac, and to be honest, I think Dragon's days are numbered.
I hope so, because it never worked.
Literally TalkType is out of the box. Literally, I don't, I would spend more time trying to, if someone's new, a new student, I would kind of calm them down if they're not used to Google Meet, something like that, and then we can get on with it.
One of the thoughts I had about this sense of being overwhelmed is that, like Marcia, I just used a pen and paper in the end because I'm not techie and I couldn't handle it all. You get moments where someone supports you and they come in and you have to tick a box to say that you got that. Yeah, Dragon keeps crashing, Marcia, absolutely. And you get this techie support for a while, and then they don't want to support you anymore. You're too needy.
You can get more hours through DSA. It's a question of how you mention it. So some students now get up to about sort of 12 hours when they may only have 3 or 4 programs. So, they'll give them an hour. So what I tend to do with my students is I'll go through one program in a 1-hour session, and they'll say, let me know, I'm going to give you a couple of weeks. Let me know how you've got on. If you want me to go over it again, and I have a template that I can use to get extra hours, extra money out of DSA. Normally we get the money, as long as the student's needs. And if a program doesn't work, obviously within the 30-day, the Sale of Goods Act also applies to DSA students, just like it did when I worked in retail, 20 odd years ago. So it's kind of like, it's one of those things that people, you need to have patience, and I don't know. But
I just wonder if it's something that as an organisation ourselves, we could look at maybe offering ongoing support to people who are using this technology and finding that it crashes, that people are not particularly warm or welcoming to the fact that actually it's crashed again, because it takes its toll on your mental health. And I
You
think
have
you
to
get
lodge a
support when you're at
ticket
uni, but
and-
not anywhere else. Sorry,
There's a-
Catherine.
Well, I just wanted to say that's a really good idea, Linda, because that's the germ of an idea for a new funding bid, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I think if I had known that I could have gone and just at least talked to someone else, I'm getting quite emotional.
Yeah,
Talk to someone
the
else about
mental
my
health impact
experiences.
is massive, isn't it? It's
Just to be able to have a conversation, and then somebody who knew the systems well enough to be able to offer that techie advice to my bleep 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 IT system, because they didn't know, and frankly they weren't interested, because this was making, well, they weren't meeting their targets. They were supposed to clear me and get rid of me, and they didn't meet their targets. I didn't meet my targets, and my manager didn't meet their targets, and it all become this target chasing thing rather than a solution and making things work.
I know. I mean, no. With all the student case study, I will give students, and as a company, we will give students as much time as they've got within their DSA allowance,
but what
and we can get extra money.
Suggesting is that at university, you have one set of priorities.
Yeah.
And also even within universities, I've struggled to get my lecturers to allow us to have our PowerPoints before the lecture. That was really challenging to get that information.
I mean, I've never had a problem with that. Even
a few years ago, but also within the workplace. What I'm saying is that a lot of students transfer into the workplace and find that the technology that supported them in that transition disappears. And those individuals know their systems, they're in their manager knows how to make the product or whatever they're required to do. And they're not really interested in all this stuff that doesn't work, that keeps crashing.
What you're saying, Linda, because this is a repeat kind of theme that's coming out of this discussion tonight, that what's happening in education is very disconnected to what's happening in the workplace.
Absolutely. I think Marcia would like to say something, because I think that's her experiences as well from what she said. I will mute.
Hi guys, so I totally resonate with what Linda's saying in terms of all of those things. I just give up and I just say, you know what, forget it. And then that doesn't work, because then how do you get your work and how do you perform, or how do you do the things you need to do? Because so that's my experience. I've had software which I've had from DSA, if we're talking about university, where I've not had the support, and I think I've still got inspiration in my loft. And that's just a waste of money, because you're not getting the right support. It's not because I don't want to use the software, but for me personally, repetition and continue that kind of way of learning is really helpful. For me, everyone's going to be different.
Yeah, no, I'm very shocked.
And say, come back in a week's time. I've forgotten what you actually told me the first time. So when I had my access to work last time, I had weekly sessions, and that repetition and going over learning was more helpful than having it just kind of sporadic.
But now there are systems.
Share that, so that's just my experience.
I'm really shocked to hear that. But there are systems now like Find My Flow and others like Learning Labs, where you get access to videos and extra notes that basically you will be able to, once you've had the training, you will be able to use it yourself as well. But I'm really shocked. I've not had any students at all this academic year have had any issues. Two of them have had to wait, but we weren't supplying the computer, so it wasn't our fault. But other than that, if the student sends their order in the morning before we open, they will normally be allocated someone that day to work with.
That's an accolade to your outfit, Assistive Solutions, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and so what is really being shown today is that you're working in an environment where it's very responsive.
Yeah.
And actually, that isn't the case.
It's quite upsetting, because it's one of my passions, but I know, like, so Accessibility Partners is an organisation that I know the director from that, and they provide support for access to work. And one of the mentors there is an autistic specialist mentor for the workplace and for university students. And their experience has been very different. And I obviously I only see kind of things from a student, and my MA research has kind of shown lots of positivity. I mean, there are females who are being diagnosed with autism later, but in terms of tech, I've not really come across anything. But then, unless people say and the things that are written down, then we don't know.
Well, you've got us as some of your research then, obviously, because even I did my MA 4 years ago, and if I didn't have the right support, I mean, the best bit was having my one-to-one support. The technology I really did put to the side, because what happens is you can get, well, for me, I can only speak from my own lived experience, you can get so overwhelmed and wound up by it all, and it's just slowing down the process, and it's becoming a barrier. Even though sometimes the software is really useful and I can see the potential, but sometimes not having that continuous support, or that's why when Linda said she can feel tearful, that is the kind of not trauma. I don't know, that sounds really harsh to say, but because you're you want to do what you're doing at your best and be your best and show up as your whole person, but the things sometimes in place, it's just tricky, like Linda said, like explaining.
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
It's like you're having to even go to that, you have to break that barrier down and have that conversation. It took me, what was it for Dragon? It took me 6 months, and it was only because it was lockdown that I managed to get it, and they wanted to get the whole software again because it didn't go through the right process. So you're dealing with all of that stuff before you even use the software. It's lots of different
things. It just
things.
Breaks you. I
100%.
think Becky's got comments, and then Joyce has got comments.
No, I am honestly gobsmacked. There are people that decide to upgrade to Macs against our advice, and then that's their problem if the computer doesn't meet their needs because they've chosen to upgrade to a Mac. But in terms of, I don't get any of this. This is at the chalk face. I get students who are delighted. They moan that the sessions are finished because they don't. But that's the thing, because I suppose with university they're told to use it, and because I do study skills for most students who have training as well, especially autistic students, so they have that continuity and that they have that built-up relationship. And I am really, really shocked. I don't hear any problems, but tonight, I suppose that's the disparity. But it's good that it's revealed. But I'm just hearing, very, very different. But obviously, it is until people formally write these things down.
Becky,
it's
all right if Becky has got
and then D as well.
something.
I'm off speakerphone, so that's all right. I just really wanted to comment on what everybody else said. I've experienced the exact same thing. Like you say, you have to keep going back and back and back. So when you were talking about the stuff from the student's point of view, and you get the support, but you're going to work, and you, like you said, they're all target driven. So when you have to go to IT and say it don't work again, if you don't get the right person who's already looked at it before, they have to start from scratch. And you're like, and you try and explain, and then you try and say to them, can you look at your notes and see who dealt with it last time?
You start to think you're going mad.
You literally do. You feel, and you keep thinking it shouldn't be this hard. And then you can see the clock ticking by, and because you've already been on hold to get through to your IT person, and then you're having to explain and keep going round and round. And then you're thinking, I'm not actually getting my work done, and I'm not getting my work done because the system won't work. And then they say, what we'll do is we'll elevate you to the next level to see if they can fix it for you. Well, when are they going to call me back? Oh, I can't tell you that.
And then you start again with another person who's very sympathetic, but they don't fix anything.
Useless. That's it. They're very supportive, and I understand it must be difficult. Or the classic, this is very interesting, I've never seen this, so it does this. So then I'm having to, and what else does it do? So then I'm explaining to the IT, but I'm like, but it won't work. I just want you to fix it. Literally just fix me the problem. And and I think it is really enlightening, the fact that we all share this this same problem, and it's not just us, one individual that's going mad. But like you say, at university, it all seems quite nice because everybody's like, there, we're supporting, and you've got all the people. But then you go into the world of work, and it's all targets, and you must get this done, and everybody wants something from you. And like you say, your manager's worried that they're going to get into trouble because they've not hit it. The IT person wants to make sure they've hit their targets, and it's just a constant merry-go-round. And like you were saying, Marcia, about having tech that you can't even use. I've got tech, and like you said, I feel like I'm wasting money, but they sent it me, but I don't understand how it works. And there's no point contacting anybody at work because they've never seen it either. So it's just, yeah. So that's all I wanted
Should we
to say.
bring Dee in as well? She might have something to add to this too.
Yeah, I want to moan now as as well about my situation, because first of all, yeah, it was really great. One of my managers just said yes, we'll pay, yeah, give her all these things that, you know, the group that did my access to work assessment suggested. Yeah, give it to her. The one department, I work for a council, one department said, yeah, here are the permits, the licenses, we'll buy all the stuff, and here it is. And then it gets to the IT and they start saying, well, you haven't got permission to use this. You can't use this because you'll be using your own personal email address, and you can't use that system within a council. Okay, we'll let you have it, even though we didn't kind of agree it, but we'll let you have that one. But then there's things like MindView and Mind Manager, and this is all a bit excessive for a simple library job. But anyway, that's what I was given. I've been waiting since the 25th of November for this to be sorted. Every other week or something, I message the person in IT and he said, oh yeah, I'm looking into it. Which one are you looking into? Oh, I'm, you know, he gives you half the picture. You have to kind of, you know, coax him to get all the information that you actually need. And anyway, whatever the information is that he's going to give you is not going to be that, oh yeah, it's all sorted and you can use it now. Now it's gone, you know, the information governance people got involved and said, oh, well, you know, if you're using it for like confidential stuff, blah blah blah, it can't be done, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, basically, you know, it's just going round in circles.
Yeah, it's like a merry-go-round or
Yeah.
something that just makes you, your mental health gets really impacted, I think.
And I think the thing is as well, I think you mentioned it maybe, Jennifer, they want to, that you say you want this and they say, well, you can't use that because it doesn't go with our system, and they suggest something else which isn't even, you know, like the same kind of thing. It's not that it's not assistive technology, it's not even kind of the same kind of thing, you know, it's something quite different. So because they haven't quite understood what it is has been suggested for you. And it's just really frustrating. I kind of given up a bit with the IT people, and my manager's just leaving him to do it. And you know, it's just crazy. And I didn't have this before when I work. I mean, some things with access to work and stuff will take long, but you know, like the IT department here, they kind of question you why you want this, and then because people are not talking to each other, that's the trouble in the organization. The IT is not talking to the other departments that they need to talk to and understand what is needed. And then also they have this thing for, which I can understand, I suppose, to an extent, they need to use Microsoft because it's safe, but Microsoft is not providing assistive technology for, you know, that kind of does.
Can I just interject? So this has gone very, very negative and quite concerning, but just to make you aware, obviously with Microsoft actually own Dragon now, and in the Microsoft Office, they have got a basic free screen reader now, and there is a basic dictation. You know, and obviously
Should
Google,
we go on to the free stuff now and just talk?
Yeah, I was going to say this is kind of quite disheartening because, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh my God. But the problem is there are people with with students. Obviously, I know, just to pick up on what Noah has written in the chat, you do get some assessors who I have seen, because I always read every single student's needs assessment report. There are some that are copy pasted and they do not actually represent. I have got one thing in my that I'm reading, a 20-sided A4 book, but that is, the student's name is Carl and the whole thing's about Sam. They've cut and pasted it, and I'm like, no, this isn't me. I'll say, well, that okay. So then they've got the wrong things. But in terms of in the workplace, I know with access to work, there are restrictions in place, but there's got to be a manager who wants to support, and they need to talk to people before you start committing. Because when I was a manager at Goldsmith University 7 years ago, I remember I had to fight even to have, as the Assistive Technology Centre manager, to have read and write put on my machine. Why can't you just use Clary? Because I'm used to using read and write. I've used this for 20 years. Why won't you do? Oh, okay. And then by the time it got sorted, I'd just given up. And I was just like, yeah, I'll just focus on helping the students. And yeah.
I think what this discussion tonight has shown is that where you're, Andrew, is actually a really, assistive technology is an area of good practice. They do.
Yeah.
And your responses and reactions to some of the feedback you've got tonight, where you are truly shocked. People are sort of gathering this feedback to you, and you are being sort of, it's scattergunned with it.
I just never heard. We don't hear it. Students normally say, "Oh, it's fantastic. I'm going back to uni. I'm going to get some more tech. Can we come and have training again?" I was like, "Yeah, as long as you contact the assessor, they supply, DSA, it's fine." I don't. But I guess because I've worked in education since May 2009, exclusively, with adult students, a standard workplace, it would be very strange to me. And I guess as well, obviously university students, everything is paid for. But in terms of access to work, it does worry me, because like without the lady who I had back in 2003, I would not be where I am. She was really good. She had the patience. Back in those days, the university employed directly. She sat down with me. She's come with all the notes, and I was able to use it. And then after I've taught in a school for a while, and then I kind of moved into adult education. But without having those tools, I would have really struggled. And obviously, in terms of my perspective of my Asperger's diagnosis, that didn't happen until like the end of my second degree. But the thing is that I was thrown in at computers from an early age, from age 7. So some of this may be appearing more so strange to me, because it was an easy option. I would stick him on pen down, stick him on Lotus Symphony at home. My late father used to use that, and I was given, he bought me my the first computer when I was 7. Use WordPerfect, showing my age, but so
Andrew, do you have some of the free stuff? Did you want to talk us through some of that as well? Because I know we've just blasted at you with the process, and it's not the technology's fault. It's
no. I was just kind of thinking, and I mean, obviously the Microsoft ones, I will share my screen, and okay, let me just load it up 1 minute.
Briefly.
Okay, let me just open up. So if I go into the share, and then so obviously this is standard Word. So you've got your dictate there. This is a test to see if Dragon is working. Full stop. Go to sleep. Okay, so this, you have to press the button. So it is very basic. And then under sort of the review, read aloud. So if I highlight that, these that's kind of the freebies. I don't use Google Office. We have a Google Calendar. I prefer Microsoft, but I am aware through my Assistive calendar that there are some similarities. But I mean, the thing is as well, in terms of with regards to Claro, for example, they have got in their toolbar basic dictation as well. So what I could do is I could load that up quickly if I press stop sharing, and then I'll go through that, because that I get a lot of their software free from the sales managers. So I've got it on here. So if I just go in, right, so this is version 11, and obviously there will be a new version coming out of Claro very soon. If I press exit on that, it's just loading. Okay, right. I'm just gonna. You're not allowed to see my invoices. I'm doing invoicing.
I'll just read a comment from Joyce from earlier in the chat as well, and how sometimes it can be tricky to get the speech to actually recognize what you say.
Yeah.
And Lois said something good, which is about at university, students have to speak up, otherwise they don't get, supported.
And I think part of that is actually talking about being disabled. You have to be able to use that word about yourself and say, I am disabled. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if you're dyslexic, you might not be used to using that language, but the only way to get to support is to talk about being disabled. And so that can take coaching just in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, and I think the problem with that is also, if someone is on the autism spectrum and they're high functioning, they may not necessarily want people to know. But again, that's the thing. But in terms of this toolbar, so in where was it? Okay, so this is the latest Claro. So you'll see in here the voices, you can test and then press OK. Oh, I've not, no, it's gone. Okay. I haven't done the update. That's annoying. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to show, 1 sec. That isn't happened right. That's always the way. All right.
I think what Andrew's doing this, there's some comment in the chat which is about that this is a gap. This should be talked about more. Shouldn't we be researching this? Shouldn't we be having some sort of discussion forum on it? And certainly this is actually a gap, particularly about technology and the lack of the transference from education to workplace, and how it's a completely different environment actually, and managers are not attuned to the technology enough, and also the mental health that's linked to all of this. If you're not supported properly, that's actually really key on all of this, and the umbrella over this, which is and underpins it all that we're talking about, is mental health. Because this impassioned discussion we've had tonight, and it's actually could be a comic turn. It's actually extremely funny, but it's also extremely dark.
I get what you're saying actually, and it is something that people, unless people speak out, nothing will be done. That's the problem.
Well, people laugh about things to make it better, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's what's been happening tonight, because actually a lot of people tonight have had really dire experience.
Yeah, it is very worrying. So this is the current, so version 12 of Text Help, and this is very similar to what you would get through Access to Work. So if I go into show more settings, I'm hoping that Zoom is still sharing everything. You should see the blue box.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
So-
working, Andrew. It's good.
Good. Yeah. So in terms of you check for updates, I know that is the latest. So you can customize the buttons. So for university students, all this customizability. You go in, you can do screenshot reader, the screen masking very good for dyslexia. The translator is really good. So I taught students studying Spanish last academic year. And she would listen to the Spanish, it would help with the vocab as well. This tool can type on their read and write. So basically, if I turn that on now, and now I just need to press on here. Where has it gone? Hello. Oh, okay. So then you have to go through. So even with the basic, I'm now going to have to, because I haven't used this yet. So I'm just doing this literally live on my feet. It's okay.
Very brave.
Peter dictates to his computer. He prefers it's typing, and particularly prefers it to pen and paper. After reading this, you can proceed to the next page. Okay, press next. Next. Skip tutorial.
Are we meant to see the whole paper, Andrew?
No, that's something is printed. So hello, my name is Andrew, and I have used Assistive Technology. Oh, it's not. That's an example there where that should have just gone straight away. Oh, hello. Scratch that. This is really pants. This is honestly useless compared to Dragon and Talk Type. Okay, I'm turning that off. Now I can see as a trainer. Yeah, because that toolbar is really small. You see, I use others, but yeah, I wanted to just because I love text help as a program, and it's really good for proofreading. But yeah, I suppose, and that's the thing because you don't. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I have to say that I have used Google Docs, and I've used their free technology, which is speech to text and text to speech, and it's actually pretty good and it's free.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, I mean, I think that if there are things that are accessible, and it comes down to the end user. So whatever works for the individual. So King's College London asked me to test their Molehill Mountain anxiety app. It was rubbish. Checking someone's anxiety once a day, whereas I've got Brain in Hand, and it checks literally every hour or every 2 hours. It's customizable. But the thing is, we're all and it's now trying to is that the Zoom recording? Right, yeah, it is, yeah. So basically, it is what meets the end needs, and we all have to be very forthright. So I need this because, and I think in the workplace that's the problem, because people are not necessarily aware. I mean, I spent time doing awareness. Last year I wrote a whole staff three lots of 15-minute staff training about the impact of autism and Asperger's in the workplace.
Marcia, I think there's comment in the chat about Grammarly as well being really good. Andrew, sorry to interrupt you.
And I wonder, Andrew, if you want to sort of make a general comment, because I think we're moving towards the end of this session.
So what's kind of been highlighted is that if you're a student, it's really, really good. Obviously, if you've got a trainer with lived experience as well, I mean, obviously I'm slightly biased. I think that it is really, really good. But obviously for the workplace, there needs to be, more awareness made. and obviously getting people to get the funding in place, because I think if there was the support, and I hear your frustrations, but I think that because people have not necessarily had the disability training, and they've not spent the money and the time, my qualifications have cost literally thousands of pounds to do, out of my own pocket, apart from the HEPGC, which I did it free when I worked at BPP. But in terms of, people, if people's passions are there, they need to be supported. But maybe it might be worth having a case study of, if it varies by age as well, because or by sector, because I know people, obviously technology is everywhere, but yeah, I just it does worry me, because some gifted students who are getting A's or first, they're going to be left. What we're going to do, because their talents are not going to be used.
I think we should all really thank you, Andrew, because your passion for your area of work absolutely shines through, and you're clearly really shocked by some of the stories that have come out tonight.
Yeah, I was, and it's we don't hear these things, so, but people need to kind of stay. That's the thing. But I think some people are too scared to mention it, because you get people that if there's a power imbalance, then you've got that. And I mean I'm double the age of some of my students. I mean I'm very respectful in that, but I know that some people would use that and kind of, no, you're going to do it this way. I'm always person-centered, but
Well,
Can we give Joyce a second to talk? I think Joyce has got her hand up.
Yeah.
Hi, I just want can you hear me? There's a lot of feedback.
Yes, we can now.
Hear me okay?
Did you want to say something?
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, with my user involvement stuff, I do stuff with Camden Islam Foundation Trust, on my teams as a person with user experience. And also I did peer coaching, but I couldn't then go and do it in practice, because I didn't know how to do the technology stuff. And then recently we did one with NHS England, and it was really great. The reason why it was so great and I really enjoyed it was because first they had all these slides that they were going to think, and I find it a nightmare where you got to look at the slides and then do something else. And then they just made it a discussion. And I found it so exhilarating and able to contribute. But I would still really like to be able to get those skills. But I'm really rubbish. I couldn't do Noodle when I was doing adult community learning. The only thing that ever helped me really was learn my way. And that was because it was through SHP. And that was because it was repetitive and it was on screen. If you go back to it, you kept on doing it and kept on doing it. That's how I got to learn how to use Microsoft Teams and Zoom when I was in COVID. So I was able to do the English online, even though I didn't manage it. But I just wondered, because if you're not that far back into education, because your skills ain't up there, where can you go to get that help and support? Thank you. I know that's a lot.
Thank you. I mean,
thank you, Joyce.
And Andrew, thank you for Jennifer and Andrew for their work tonight, but particularly Andrew, because he worked very hard. And he
really good, Andrew. And it shows it does work if you have the right person that understands it, like you, Andrew.
Yeah. Next week, we've got Sue Bowen from Dyslexia Scotland speaking on Wednesday for the WFDA adult meetup. Okay, she's in charge of the adult work in Dyslexia Scotland, in charge of managing volunteering. So I'll just turn the